for some Omega Sons like data. I am true Omega Son, Omega Son's life. Don't do this too much. Of course, I've been going through a recreation, as you would say. Learning how to do this YouTube thing all over again, having more passion in it. But I've been very busy learning a whole new career and just vibing, getting to know my network and getting to experience them in a different way, and keeping that energy, that focus, that drive to be able to help others. As I help myself. Of course, I'm in New York City, New York, and you see the topic. The title of this is called the Hate Project, right? And this is in kind of like a response and observation of all the things that's been happening um, with hate of self. My focus on this channel, when I first developed it, was for the a spread of social awareness, correcting of the black family image, because that's where I come from. I'm a melanated man in America, and we live by these different nuances and new sets of laws, and how to respond to things. Our whole conduct in our cultures is just like we really haven't sat and messed it out, so people can truly understand it, where we're coming from, especially if you're from the inner city. It's like this whole other beast going on, you know. And one of the things I was very upset about just recently is that, you make a certain amount of money, you know, and you do what you can to take your family out of dangerous situations, and that's what you're supposed to do. That's human nature, you know. But then there's groups of us, there's many of us that get too comfortable in our comfort zones and stop. You know, we stop and we settle for that comfort zone and what comes with it. You know, and it'll get to the point where you'll go somewhere else and thinking that you'll get the acceptance, you know, and it kind of roughly goes with the news story about the young brother PNB Rock, you know, getting killed, or pardon me, you know what I'm saying, in a neighborhood with people that look like him. You know what I'm saying? And I get it, people have their own codes in the land that they stay in, and they don't want any outsiders coming in. Um, they have their code of conduct in their comfort zone. They don't want anybody to infringe on that, right? But think of all the pitfalls that a person got to deal with, you know, just by going somewhere where they feel like they should feel comfortable. I should want to be around my people, especially if I have money to break bread with. I should be safe. And I mentioned in one of the lives that I did just recently about the Green Book. If you don't understand what the Green Book is, you look into that. There was a whole movie about it with Mashallah Ali. But the history of it is about black people going to safe towns, safe neighborhoods, and being able to, spend with those black, have a bed and breakfast, be able to travel across country, in the danger of sundown towns. This was what was happening at that time, and we get to a point right now. Fast forward to today, you're not even safe in your own town. A majority of these guys, yeah, and women are, getting harmful things done to them in their own neighborhoods. And here, I don't live too far from here. I'm relatively in a safe neighborhood. I mean, there's people that make a considerable amount of money. It's New York City, and it's the city of buildings and all that. You know, people make a considerable amount of money, and there's also us poor people. I'm not making I'm poor. I'm on my way to getting some modicum of ease, hopefully. That's why I do stuff like this. Um, and the reinventing of myself is a part of that, because now you're in a place where you see that things can happen for you, and you start to have these conversations and build your network differently, hopefully, if you're open-minded, and that's the key. You got to be, um, pushing the envelope for yourself. One thing I've learned just recently, that even though I'm pretty open-minded, and I know about the affluent stages of life, I still was short in my mentality. I've kicked it with some people that got real money, considerable amount of money, and a great network. These global networks. And one thing for sure is that you're missing the big picture. And I'm like, okay, I know what it takes, and no, I don't know what it takes. Let me just be honest here. Because if I knew what it takes, I'd have took it, or I'm so into my comfort zone that I know taking that next step is a sacrifice I wasn't ready for. And I've been preparing myself to get into that field where I'm ready for it. And what it is that you can think high rise, you can think condominium, you can think house, you can think multifamily house, um, uh, exclusive rentals of luxury places, fine cars, fine dining. But here's the thing: if you can go to Amazon, right? They have this documentary up called Generational Wealth. I mean, Generation Wealth. The lady's name is Lauren Greenfield. She used to go to Harvard Business School, and she was a photographer there. And she started taking, her trade to the lucrative, the rich and famous. And she was able to catch people, you know, um, with like Kate Hudson, Kim Kardashian, uh, with that Corey Haim and all these other people. That young age, catch them in their blossoming of lucrative life as young people, you know. And in that, you know, they also show the sacrifices and the pain and the burden, if there was one. I mean, like, I come from the inner city. I come from, you know, the jungles of Brooklyn. Right now I'm in Manhattan. You know, you can see the different way people think just by being around certain areas. You know, they start out with, you know, running. They got the money already. So what makes them empty? Social acceptance. And I'm listening. She interviews with one of her older classmates who was one of the most wealthiest people at one time, but also notorious hedge fund, notorious hedge fund guy. You know what I'm saying? So he's like on both sides, both sides of the fence as far as, he's very affluent, productive guy, but it was sketchy for the government. Maybe he was making too much money. Maybe, he was just that flamboyant and lavish. Florian Jurgen home. And they're sitting down talking, and he says, oh no, she says to him that Harvard Business School teach you how to be a good person. And this shook me. This like took that world I was talking about from this big to this huge, immense. She says that that Harvard Business School teach you to be a good person. He laughed hearty and says, no. It teaches us, it fine tunes us to run the world. That was his statement. It fine tunes us, the people at Harvard Business, to run the world. That's anything you can get your hands on, any industry, any interest group, any focus point. It teaches you that because it's an institution, and the institution is built to run. Okay, the institution is built to run these things concurrently. So there's always a sense of gaining and attaining and controlling power. Now, our position of power is, maybe having a name on a block, a certain reputation, being open to have access to different places or access to different peoples in order to maneuver in our communities. That's cool. That's great. But it's short-minded. Like I said, talking to, my mentor and a couple of other people. I have mentors before. I haven't gotten in touch with them for a long time. I basically stayed to myself. This whole world-changing system could do a number on you if you're not strong enough, if you're not, spiritually grounded. And I want to make sure that was number one on my agenda, is to be spiritually grounded and continue to learn and have the passion to learn, so you can, commit to change, so you're able to break bread. Once the sun is starting to really show out, what I'm saying? I person want to see that. So, in respects to that, talking to him, it's a difference from having $100 plate at a restaurant and having a $500 plate at the restaurant. Because now people you wouldn't necessarily speak to or wouldn't necessarily speak to you open up for conversation. And it's not about the money per se. I mean, it is. You're getting a certain amount of money. People want to know, what do you do? How do you conduct business? Are you crafting? Are you polished enough to be in the circles of access? You could go back to listen to how Jay-Z and the Kevin Hart interview went. The Kevin Hart and Shannon Crawford interview went. Tons of who was another one? Lewis Howell. Great interviews with some dynamic people, talking about their affairs in life and how they restructured their life from scratch. It's an any man's game. We just sometimes have the short-sightedness not to see it. And I don't come on with a shirt, suit, and tie. I'm really casual right now. You see me just in a hat. Everybody's cool, and this is a laid-back time right now. But my thought pattern is starting to change. My position of reality is starting to change. The Hate Project prequel, what I'm talking about right now, is taking out the hate. You gotta have love for yourself and love for what you're capable of doing to proceed further. And what I want to do with this project, I ain't saying it's small. What I'm gonna say it's overlooked, is that we have to look at the hate weapons that are among us. The jealousy, the envy, the ego, the indecency. Because people were willing to do a lot of insidious, desperate things for the cash, and it's going to get even weirder. It's going to get even weirder as the economy shrinks a little bit. People want to do anything to get that bread, anything. And it's going to be a detriment to the next generation. Many people that are innocent may have to pay for it. If we still look at things short-sighted, the whole purpose I get on this camera right now is, it's breaking them, It's breaking the bond, of a comfort zone that I used to have. Like I don't need to get on the camera here. I go into the house. I got the, I do the green screen thing. Because I want nobody to, I'm really reserved about what the visuals are about, right? But the reality is what the reality is. You can't just stay in it. You got to plant the seeds to grow out of it, if you don't like it, or plant the seeds to grow your kingdom, you know, expand your reality. It's one thing to talk about when I do my affirmation or what have you. You know, my thoughts determine my words determine my actions determine my habits, my habits determine my character determines my destiny, and may my destiny be guided so it can determine the reality. You know, it put those, that force of energy, those instructions, the clear thought, the wisdom in. This is to get away from the hate project that is out to destroy internally, because the wrong emotions will set forth the wrong decision making, the short-sightedness, where you get stuck in a series of patterns that are dysfunctional and destructive to your life. The young man, like I said, they had several different chains, several different locations for that chain of restaurants that the young man and his woman went to, right? We're not going to talk about the controversy of, what it was dealing with and what he had on and stuff like that, because it's a sad situation. It's unfortunate. You work hard, for what you get, and you should feel that, I could be around my people and give money back. You know what I'm saying? The problems come when you floss. That's one. The problem comes when there's people that are hungry, like really hungry, ribs touching, or their sense of reality is that it's killed or be killed, eat or be eaten, and they don't care about that position. You want to feel comfortable wherever you are. No, this is where we rock. It's damaging the businesses, and that's why businesses don't want to invest in that area. So then people complain about jobs. It comes a vicious cycle. You take care of the places that you live, invest in them, people will come, you welcome them. To a point. Because you got to protect the what they call cultural continuity in your area, in your environment, right? That's to keep the property taxes and all that stuff. This system is ambiguous. The whole thing, how it's set up, it's ambiguous. It can work for some that want it to work. And for those that don't have a true understanding of it, it can actually overpower, oppress, and pimp you. It all depends on your mindset. I listened to another content creator, shouts out to JT Pocket Watcher, and I disagree with a lot of stuff. Well, a good amount of stuff he says, because sometimes I think, it's kind of elitist to think like that. But no, he has a point. When you get to a point where you learn how things work, the value of that knowledge should increase what you're willing to put out. It should increase the value of what you're willing to put out. People will pay thousands of dollars, hundreds, thousands of dollars, sometimes, even that M, for the type of information you're willing to push out, if it can benefit them. And if it has some relevance, it got to have some material facts, something that can be, transferred into wealth. And it's not just about wealth, success. A winning model. If people see that the winning model is hate project, degradation, indecency, lack of shame, ignorance, and they get paid for it, Guess where everybody's going to go to? Guess. Entertainment is also how we're entertained. We're titillated by nonsense, and it keeps us in these patterns that could be destructive down the line. You always gotta, you're like a dog at the circus, gotta jump through a hoop of fire just to get your treat at the end. That's Pavlovian. That's a chain of events that it keeps you stunted in growth, and you miss the big picture. Fine tuning yourself to run the world. Think of the task of that. The man had 100 million euros. So he's waking up in the morning, he can go to any country in the world. Because his capabilities, his know-how, and hedge fund and all that stuff like that, that's kind of like made up stuff. It's made up. It's knowing money systems, yeah, but it's made up. It's not you crafting something out of your hands or repairing something. It's not nothing physical, visceral. And it's not you honing your skills to be like a Michelin chef that impresses everybody and feeds people. But there are these entities in the economy, because we all exist together, we all spending the money, we all utilizing the money. It's already in place. And because a lot of us don't have the access to those linchpins, the access to that information, we're on the outside looking in. We'll want their wealth, but we're not willing to do the work. Then it's not even about not willing to do the work, you just haven't had the access. Generation wealth. People have seen it in their families for 20 years, 30 years. Chances are they're going to replicate the same habits, have the same passions. One woman was a CEO of her own investment company, right? But she didn't have any children, had a lack of ties with family. She was more tied to her network than her family. And it showed cold. She was calculated with her business. She knew what it took to succeed as a woman in the situation. But cold. I think she wound up having a child and then kind of slowed down. But that mentality was already there. Pushing to get the next business, pushing to get the next 100 million. Look how much you lose out. The Home guy, Florian Home, he stated that he missed out a lot of his family life, working so hard. Missed out his son's movements, what he was doing as a child. Missed out on his daughter's movements, what she was doing as a child. The wife said, he said, you can have anything in this world. She replied, let's just have dinner. Let's just have dinner. So the pressure of fine-tuning, being fine-tuned to run the world, you lose your soul. You settle for indecency, settle for shame. You wind up doing the most, violent, nefarious things for that dollar. Just so you can, live a certain way. Because sometimes you don't even have to have the background to be somewhere that's highly stressful. Like I said, they came from Harvard Business School. Instantly into money. Assets. So what's the problem? What happened? I'm gonna focus on that. I'm gonna focus on the sociology, that it takes for a group to see what their value is in a certain place, juxtaposing the other groups around them, that start off even less. I always had this thing where, in America and specifically in the big cities, you have this entitled mentality to think from the perspective of having running water, be able to flick a light on and the light comes on. We take that for granted. Not to dismiss that there are real situations going on in our households and in our communities, that need immediate addressing. But we also take for granted the power that it takes to run a community. With that out the way, we can, if we group together, we can get more done. We can invest more in ourselves. We could run a whole building. And when you could run one building, you could run 10 buildings. What the foundation is solidarity, togetherness. That's the foundation. And the moment we get that, the moment anybody gets that, wherever you are, even in your own families, and particularly in our community, my community, where people look like me, we're just divided because there's a lack of trust. We're divided because people want you to do things their way. Yeah, I want you to be successful. I want you to do it my way. Or the expectations shoot out the window without a succession amount of goals. I don't got time. People say, I don't got time for you to learn what needs to happen. I don't got time for it. Just do this. While on the other side, a guy could stay in his parents' house to the age of 30 as a professional gamer. Listen, think of the title, professional gamer. Then get back to me. Wherever in the world, and they say that's work. People pulling in $50,000 here, $10,000 here, more than a person that working 9 to 5. See, but also the network is different. The access is different. So your child on Call of Duty all day, instead of developing that into a business where you can, and I've seen this before in another documentary. I forgot the name of the documentary. The kid was like 10 years old. His father taught him how to play Call of Duty. He wound up being a consultant to people that are CEOs, entrepreneurs making, well over $1 million. Wound up being a consultant on how to play Call of Duty as a business at 10 years old, making his own bread. Well, we'll yell at those that are in a certain situation will yell at their child for being on the game too much. And then when they're off the game, to go outside, now, with the wrong crowd, hopefully not, turns into something else. Then, did you even ask what their dream is, what their passions are? Did you ask? Our vision, our focus, the instructions we give to ourselves, our comfort zones, all have to grow. All of us do. Like I said, I'm still short-sighted. I'm talking to, I would like to do condos. I would like to, know everything I, need to know about condos, so I'm able to, work into our environment, help facilitate that. Because I see money in it. I'm like, you talking about condos in New York? What about condos in Dubai? I don't know. You know, condos here. We talk about condos overseas. Get into our overseas network. I don't know. I'm from Brooklyn. I don't know. I didn't have that access. I wasn't even thinking about being fine-tuned to run the world. So I'm not gonna say that because I'm starting small. One thing about me, I've been on the same job for 11 years. Before that, I've always worked in the community. I've been there. I've been working with the community for more over 18 years, 20 years, servicing everyone from the children to the elderly, every type of walk of life, from I would say, yeah. Super affluent, I don't know too much about, but I know some super affluent people. I was, able to meet them early in life and know what I liked about them and what I disliked about them. But one thing I can say for sure, everybody wants to have their voice heard. Everybody wants to have their voice heard and their story told. And they're willing to do anything to have that done. That's one. Two, everyone wants to be rewarded for the least path of existence. They want to be able to do the bare minimum and have maximum reward, and it doesn't work like that. That's what keeps the comfort zones. Like, all right, I'm successful right here. I don't need to do nothing else to make my life any harder. Even the wealthy, the super wealthy. I'm right here. I don't need to do anything else. No, you want to keep it, you're going to have to do extra stuff. If you want to adjust it, where the people that you neglected before are now a part of your existence, that's work. That's work. Matter of fact, that's even harder work than you just bringing home the check or bringing home the money. Because now you got to reconnect with people on a level where their interests are what counts. Their emotions, what they put into it, that's the investment now. They want to see if you're invested in them. Can you hear me out? Because I got a story. Hate prevents you from hearing people out. It does. I mean, like really hearing people out. Really get into why they hurt, what they really need. What would activate that special ability in them to grow? Because we all have it. Many of us, we miss it. And then some people, they lose out and lose their life before they attain their greatness. There was a list, and I don't like to mix channels, but I also do the hip hop channel as well. There's a list that's put out in the last 3 years about how many rappers, entertainers passed in the last 3 years. It's phenomenal. Great ones. Gone before they experienced that next level of potential. Their success levels. And we do the same thing amongst ourselves. It's a daily practice. So with that being said, the hate prequel is not to hate yourself, not to be so hard on yourself that get that defeatist level like it's over. There's always something new to learn. You gotta be willing to learn it though. There's also a change that has to exist, not just within self, but with your connection to everything around. There's a big world, amazing world, fascinating things that happen at every level. Can you empower anything around you? Can you be empowered by anything around you? And being connected with that. Later I'm gonna tell you about the new career that I'm in. And it's like I said, many people get into it. It's rough because you definitely got to be on the verge of all types of networks. You definitely got to be on the cutting edge of meeting all types of people, and I've been reserved for so long. And now I'm just going to open myself out to the community as a resource. I had to learn how to be an asset again. I've been an asset for activism, been an asset for advocacy for at-risk teens, at-risk youth. an advocate uh, um, for conflict resolution, putting your guns down, you know, make better decisions, picking your guns up with better decision making, to protect yourself and your community, self-awareness. It's not just a talking thing. It's a work in progress. It's actual physical work. It's actually talking to individuals, groups. I'm about to throw myself back out there again in the bigger platform, bigger way. You know, and I'm gonna document here and there the thoughts that I have, and you know the parts of the journey and the travel and everything like that. Right here on Mega Sun's Light Sunspot. That's the kickoff. That's the Sunspot is the kickback. Let's talk about it. Lounge. But my other page is going to be it's a very professional page. Not too many people from this place is going to go there. I don't know. You know, maybe if you want to do sincere business, because I know YouTube is a cold place at times. You know, it's very impersonal, and people think they can do certain things and get away with certain things. And I get it. It's an outlet. It's an outlet. But if that becomes your entertainment, and it's disgusting, and it's, you know, it infringes upon other people's pursuit of happiness, it becomes a liability, and you know, it could turn into some wicked stuff. You know what I'm saying? I just wish you and yours and everybody around you stay away from that type of negative vibes. Always stay high level, high energy, positivity, if you can. If you can. There's gonna be times we gotta shut it down, meditate, you know, get involved with yourself. Okay? This has been Mega Sun's Light. Welcome to the light, coming out of the darkness to the cell of the vessel, you know what I'm saying? And I just wish you, yours, wellness, many blessings. All right. And shouts out to Western Elders. Can a brother bow down? Yo, phenomenal. And shout out to Jope. Jope, face mask, they also have the scarves. Black businesses together. Like LRG, you know, but that's a staple already. You know what I'm saying? You see the color coordination and all that. But that's just my style. But shouts out to those groups, those companies. They're gonna need your patronage if you can. You know, every extra dollar to a group that you believe in is another family fed. Think like that. That's the conduct. You know, the code of conduct that if we all go by, we can have different financial rings, and hopefully, you know, these people will come around and satisfy what our needs are as a community. So, salute. Soul. That's my brand too.